Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered which single report became the very foundation stone of India's entire public health system? The one document that every later committee, including Mudaliar, was built upon? Let us explore the Bhore Committee Report of 1946 and understand how it architected India's national health system. The Health Survey and Development Committee was commissioned in October 1943, right in the middle of World War II and the Quit India movement, under the leadership of Sir Joseph Bhore. The committee faced a stark reality of severe public health deficits, high mortality, and a profoundly underserved rural majority. The scale of the survey was massive, covering 11 administrative provinces based on the 1941 census, including the United Provinces with 55 million people, Bengal with 60 million people, and Madras with 48.5 million people. The final output was a 4-volume masterwork, with Volume 3 alone containing 57 annexures, 206 memoranda, and extensive expert subcommittee reports. This massive survey gave birth to 3 guiding principles for the 1946 plan. The first pillar was rural centrality, meaning health services must be located as close to the people as possible, moving away from the colonial urban-centric model. The second pillar was financial immunity, meaning no individual shall be denied healthcare services due to an inability to pay. The third pillar was absolute integration, meaning clinical and curative medicine must be inextricably interwoven with public health and preventive care at all administrative levels. All of this was tied together under the idea of comprehensive care, involving the broadest collaboration between the public, the profession, and the service, with specific attention to vulnerable populations. This philosophy was further defined through 4 core ideas. Near to need meant services must be located as close to the population as geographically feasible. Irrespective of means meant the total removal of the ability to pay as a barrier to receiving medical care. Targeted protection meant special accommodations for vulnerable segments like mothers, children, and the mentally ill. And homeostasis meant creating and preserving a healthy environment at home, at work, and in public spaces. This definition formed the bedrock requirement for the entire national health plan. Before Bhore, the colonial model was purely curative, offering fragmented care with heavy reliance on private practice. The Bhore blueprint completely re-engineered this standard of care by bringing preventive, promotive, and curative services together into one goal of comprehensive public health. In fact, the most radical proposition of the 1946 report was the absolute integration of preventive and curative medicine at every administrative level, placing doctors on government payrolls to bypass reliance on private care. To deliver this vision, the committee designed a 3-tier health architecture. At the base was primary care, delivered through sub-centers at the panchayat level, staffed by auxiliary nurse midwives, forming the organizational foundation. In the middle was secondary care, delivered through primary health centers and community health centers at the block level, offering outpatient and inpatient curative and preventive care with a supervisory role. At the top was tertiary care, delivered through district hospitals offering specialized care and connected to medical colleges for training. This framework ensured that an individual's socio-economic status would not impede access to primary care. Interestingly, the committee proposed a dual-track architecture, one for the short term and one for the long term. The short-term measure was meant to last 2 5-year plan periods as a temporary stopgap, targeting one primary health center per 40,000 population, delivering basic preventive and curative care along with maternal and child health, supervised by secondary health centers. The long-term 3 million plan was meant for the distant future, targeting one primary unit per 10 to 20,000 population, built around highly regionalized, massive hospital networks surrounding specialized district hubs. supervised by 650 bed secondary units and 2,500 bed district hospitals. Let us look closer at the short term primary health center. For every 40,000 citizens, a self contained unit of specialized personnel was mandated. This included a medical cluster of 2 physicians and 1 pharmacist, a nursing and maternal cluster of 1 nurse, 4 public health nurses, 4 midwives, and 4 trained DIs, a public health cluster of 2 sanitary inspectors and 2 health assistants, and a support cluster of 15 additional Class 4 employees. The very first primary health center based on this exact operational blueprint was established in 1952. Now let us look at the long-term 3 million plan, which regionalized the master framework through what can be called a scale escalator. At the base tier was the primary health unit with 75 beds serving 10 to 20,000 inhabitants, functioning as the localized frontline of comprehensive care. At the middle tier was the secondary unit or community health center, a 650 bed hospital with all major specialties, staffed by 140 doctors, 180 nurses, 15 social workers, and 178 other staff members. At the apex tier was the district hospital, a massive 2,500 bed hospital focused on tertiary care and medical education, staffed by 269 doctors, 625 nurses, 50 social workers, and 723 other staff members. Looking closely at the floor plan of this 75-bed primary unit, we see precision allocation of beds with 25 beds for medical issues, 20 beds for infectious disorders, 10 beds for surgery, 10 beds for gynecological issues, 6 beds for malaria, and 4 beds for tuberculosis. To operate this specific unit, the blueprint mandated 6 medical, surgical, obstetrical, and gynecological experts, 20 nurses, 3 hospital social workers, 8 ward attendants, and 3 compounders. The committee also focused heavily on upgrading the human architecture through medical education reforms. It moved away from the colonial paradigm of the licentiate in medical practice and rote memorization toward the Bhore vision of a single national standard MBBS degree, along with applied public health training. This meant a pedagogical shift from purely curative, hospital-bound teaching toward teaching applied public health throughout an undergraduate's clinical years. It introduced the concept of the social physician, requiring compulsory 3-month training in social and preventive medicine. And it mandated the creation of a major central institute for postgraduate medical education and research, which directly resulted in the creation of AIIMS in 1956. Health was never seen in isolation from the environment. The committee identified town and village planning as a neglected science, decreeing that village planning must maintain agriculture, ensure employment, and preserve rural amenities, intertwining economic survival with public health. It also proposed a specialized diploma in public health engineering for engineers already working in provincial water supply, sewage, refuse disposal, and housing, along with mandating public health engineering courses for all standard engineering degree students. Special attention was given to disease control through legislative and intervention protocols. For malaria, the committee consulted the US Public Health Service and Bombay Municipal Act ordinances, mandating strict public measures to prevent water stagnation and mosquito breeding. For leprosy, based on the Central Advisory Board on Health Special Committee, it mandated compulsory but confidential notification of infected individuals and authorized health officers to inspect dwellings and isolate patients, with patient maintenance entirely at the public's expense. The committee also transformed mental health care from custody to community. The catalyst for this shift came from Colonel M. Taylor's tour of 25 major mental hospitals, which revealed severely understaffed, underpaid facilities where unqualified staff oversaw patients deteriorating in custodial care. Moving away from this old paradigm of institutions designed primarily for detention, the Bhore vision mandated specialty training for all psychiatric care professionals, emphasized the critical importance of community support over isolation, and required institutions to be brought under strict government supervision through new legislation. Of course, ambition needed to meet reality. The rollout trajectory aimed for 55 primary healthcare units and 11 secondary healthcare units by the end of year 1, scaling up to 258 primary healthcare units, 114 upgraded units, 11 secondary units, and 5 tertiary units by the end of year 10. But later reviews, like the 1959 Mudaliar Committee, would find that early rollout prioritized rapid expansion over adequate staffing, requiring later consolidation. Indeed, by 1959, the Health Survey and Planning Committee evaluated this rollout and found that early primary health centers were severely understaffed, lacking medicine and proper buildings, with too many centers opened too quickly without adequate logistical support. The verdict was clear. The ground reality bore no resemblance to what was visualized by the Bhore Committee, and the recommendations shifted from rapid expansion to immediate consolidation. Despite this gap, the Bhore Committee did not merely design hospitals. They engineered a comprehensive policy matrix where clinical care, medical education, environmental engineering, and legislative power operated as a single interdependent machine designed to protect the citizen at the center, connecting environmental integration, human architecture, and clinical infrastructure around the rural Indian citizen. The enduring legacy of this 1946 blueprint lives on today through Ayushman Bharat. Bhore's primary care model has evolved into Ayushman Arogya Mandirs, 150,000 health and wellness centers targeting vulnerable rural areas, offering non-communicable disease treatment and free diagnostics. And Bhore's vision of universal access has evolved into PMJI, providing 5 lakh rupees of annual health insurance coverage to over 10 crore poor and vulnerable households for secondary and tertiary care. The Bhore Committee's 1946 insistence on comprehensive, state-supported preventive curative care remains the exact structural foundation for India's health policy even today. The first mnemonic uses the committee chairman's own name, BHORE, to lock in 5 structural pillars of the framework. B stands for bed allocations and the 3-tier architecture. This refers to the establishment of a primary, secondary, and tertiary network with precise bed-to-population ratios across the system. H stands for health integration. This refers to merging curative, preventative, and promotive services at all administrative levels into a single continuum of care. O stands for One MBBS Standard and Research Institute. This refers to abolishing the fragmented licentiate in medical practice and replacing it with a single national MBBS standard, along with recommending a central postgraduate institute, which was later realized as AIIMS in 1956. R stands for Rural Focus and Free Care. This refers to architecting the entire system specifically around rural vulnerabilities, mandating that a person's socio-economic status must never impede their access to primary care. E stands for Education in Social Medicine and Environmental Health. This refers to mandating 3 months of training in preventive and social medicine to create social physicians, along with integrating public health engineering into national planning. The second mnemonic, PRIME, captures the operational framework, showing how the blueprint was actually meant to be activated on the ground. P stands for Primary Health Centers. This refers to operationalizing state-owned primary health centers as the absolute cornerstone of publicly funded health, bringing clinics directly to rural and urban frontiers. R stands for Rural Priority and Free Services. This refers to deploying auxiliary nurse midwives and trained DIs at the panchayat level, ensuring services were as close to the population as feasible and totally free at the point of care. I stands for integrated care. This refers to requiring every single health worker to practice both clinical treatment and public health intervention simultaneously. M stands for medical education overhaul. This refers to the pedagogical shift from simply thrusting facts onto students to teaching medical principles and methods, with applied public health taught throughout the clinical years. E stands for environmental determinants and engineering. This refers to activating non medical interventions like town and village planning, compulsory confidential notification for leprosy, and strict public ordinances to prevent water stagnation and malaria. Hope you have understood about the Bhore Committee Report. If you found this video useful, please like and share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.